Today I'm on Rummel Ridge. This is one of my favorite hikes because the views at the top are really nice, beautiful, 360-degree panoramic views. This is the getting to the middle section. The first about half of it climbs up through a burnt forest. There was a forest fire here one day, a long time ago. The view is really nice, so you'll see it when I get to the top. Today I am on snowshoes. There are some really quite steep parts, and snowshoes make it quite a bit easier. You might be able to see that the path is quite packed down, and that's actually because some people have gone backcountry skiing here, and from the looks of it, quite a few people have, and so that makes it a little nicer for the climbing, at least. It's already being packed down. In the winter, when the snow is so deep, it's really quite difficult to break trail. Earlier on the hike, there were a lot more of baby pine trees. Up there you can see a few too. Although the forest was burnt down, and more so back there, but still, although it was burnt, there's a lot of new growth I'm seeing. Sometimes forest fires actually help to regenerate a forest. There's certain species that need the heat to release their seeds, and it also just makes room for new growth. You'll often see a lot of new growth in the years following a forest fire. So here's more. These little baby pine trees. And I'll just show you how deep the snow is off the side of the packed path. Really deep. So that's why it's so hard to break trail. In one of my other videos, we climbed Little Lougheed, also another favorite of mine. The views are also beautiful, 360 degrees. Summit of that one is quite a narrow, kind of a ridge, a big cornice on one side, so that's dangerous. You always got to check the weather and avalanche conditions when there are cornices. Those are really dangerous. There you can see a lot of the new growth again. That's a nice view. You can hear all the birds. The one I mentioned earlier, Little Lougheed, we've done that a number of times, and first time to get to the summit, it took us a number of tries because the first few times it we were breaking trail and the snow was about waist deep, and when there's no trail and you're breaking trail, especially when it's like 70+% grade incline, waist deep snow makes it really difficult to break trail. And it took us so long breaking trail that a couple times, especially with the sun setting earlier in the winter, it was just, we were out there and had to turn back to avoid coming down the steepest part in the dark, just because with such deep snow and so steep of an incline, it's just dangerous. You never want to get stuck out in the dark if you can help it, of course. So there you can see more of the burnt forest. You can hear the birds. There's a nice mountain up there. Oh, gotta be careful. I just tripped a bit. Sometimes there's post holes, which, here's a good example. You can see, like, if you accidentally step off the trail off the packed part and into the really, really deep part, then, and if you're not wearing snowshoes especially, then it kind of creates a hole. Some animal prints, maybe a rabbit, but it creates a hole like you can see here, and you can kind of trip, and when the next people that go up on the trail, you really got to watch it, make sure you're not stepping in those post holes, because sometimes they're like thigh deep even, and especially in the middle of winter, and you can trip and hurt yourself, so you got to be aware of that. That's why oftentimes, if you're not sure snowshoes or not, I'd recommend just snowshoes. It might take a little longer, but it is much better for grip, especially if you don't know how steep the hike is going to be. And it's better for if you run into a patch of deep snow or step in a post hole, and it is much better for you to be wearing snowshoes. I'll show you again. There. That's about knee deep, the snow there. And so, imagine breaking trail in knee deep snow. You get very tired very quickly. Okay, well, this is the right turn I need to make. Don't want to head up that way too much, I believe it goes into an avalanche bowl. It's best to avoid that. This one takes you up to the ridge, and I'll check back in when we're closer to the summit to get some of those views. Nice views. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a minute. Now we're out of the burnt forest section and into the next part where it's quite narrow. It's all snowshoe tracks, no more ski tracks. It's back in the living forest, the one that hasn't been burnt. And I just wanted to show you this one part here where it's super steep. It's too bad because how steep it is usually doesn't show up on camera, but let's see if this one does. This is one of the reasons that you want the snowshoes and poles. My poles are up there just for videoing, but it feels like you're gonna slide. You can probably see the angle of my foot there. It's too bad how it doesn't really show up on camera, but it's really steep. I'll go down just another little bit. I don't want to slide too much. But this is, yeah, it doesn't show up well. That's too bad. But this is probably 70 plus, maybe 80% grade. That one part down there, really, really steep. Yeah. Here's my poles. I'll see you at the next part. We are getting towards the final summit push. Just climbing up through this windy path here. These are larch trees actually. And in the fall, their needles are bright yellow, they're golden. I'll just take a pause here to show you that. Nice ridge there. But the large trees, those two, their needles turn really nice golden color and they actually fall off. There's actually some on the path here. You can actually check out some of my other videos that I took in larch season where you can see that. See the colors. So you can see we're kind of on the side of a ridge here. Ooh, look. You can see how the deep the snow is. It goes up to the handle of my pole. Awesome. Last time we hiked this, it was blue, clear sky, hardly any clouds. You could see out very far. The view is beautiful. I'm really hoping that the view will be beautiful like it was last time. It already is. Not as clear, but beautiful. And soon you'll see out behind. It's actually where I'm climbing to on the other side. Up above there. It's going to be Mount Galatea, which I believe is the tallest mountain in Kananaskis. I'd have to check that. But I guess I didn't say earlier that we are in the Spray Valley in Kananaskis, Alberta, Canada, the Canadian Rockies. Gotten a little steeper here. It's hard to tell if this ridge here, if it's a cornice or just a ridge. But there are trees growing there, so it should be good. The path is well packed. You can hear the birds. More animal tracks. These large trees, they're little, kind of have some needles. Haven't fallen off yet. There's a tiny bit of light snow breezing in the wind. There's a bird up there. Sometimes it's hard to tell if it's snowing or if it's just snow blowing from the trees. I think it might be starting to snow, just very lightly. You may or may not be able to see, but it's gotten quite a bit steeper here. Decently steep. Not like it was over there back a while, but decently steep. Okay. We're getting close now. Starting to get more of a view. We're getting there. Been walked on. Somewhat more of a view. When we get to the summit, you might think, oh, it doesn't look that high compared to the other ones. But it is actually. The elevation on the hike is quite comparable to a lot of the steeper, higher mountains in the area. It's just this one particularly. This one in particular is surrounded by, I believe, a number of the tallest mountains in the area. So this one gets a bit dwarfed by the other ones, even though it is really so high. It's always interesting how it seems sometimes less at the summit, but okay. And this is the summit of Rummel Ridge. snow blowing over the ridge, which looks quite cool. But I always find this mountain here, Galatea, Mount Galatea, it's really beautiful. It is one of the, I think it is actually, I mentioned before, the tallest in the area. Step back up here. In the area there are the upper and lower Kananaskis Lakes, the Spray Valley Reservoir, the Spray Lakes. You can see the frozen lake over there. That is the beginning of the Spray Lakes Reservoir in Spray Valley Provincial Park. Up there. Really beautiful. It's getting a bit soaked in with the snow, which is too bad. It is such a beautiful panoramic view, but it still is beautiful. Up there. Galatea. The top is a bit soaked in also. Those ridges do go up. Down there, I'll show you that wind lip. Pretty big. And here it's a steep cornice that I'm going to avoid. That's the ridge we just climbed up. Down through there. Small cornice. For those of you who don't know what a cornice is, it's snow that the wind has deposited kind of like at the edge of a mountain, the edge of a rock face, and it builds up, so it's an overhang of snow. And they're dangerous because you can't always see them, and if you're stepping on one, then if you're heavy, it could cause it to fall, and then there's nothing underneath since it's overhanging, and you could fall with it, and they can also trigger avalanches, so you really just want to stay away. Thank you for watching. As always, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.